I'm going to do what I normally do, which is take the lead and then hand over to Juliana. So, so what I've done is I've got some notes here in relation to the collaboration with Juliana and I. So for those that don't know me, I'm Coral Turner and my company is Coral Turner Couture. So hi, William, first time here. And I specialize in one-of-a-kind women's wear. So in your case, William, you don't have to be concerned. I make sure that no two women turn up to an event wearing the same outfit. So that's what I do, ready to wear and bespoke. And Juliana and I met through Warren, who is also a facilitator of this group as well. And since that meeting, when Warren emailed me to say that I think that you and Juliana would be a good match, and that first telephone call where we started talking about fabrics, and we've not stopped talking since. And if you bear in mind the conversation, what we started talking, last year, October, was it? Was it October? Yeah. And it feels like it's one of those conversations, a bit like when I met Lorraine and speaking with Nikki. It's the people that you meet that you think, oh, I've just known them forever, and you just lose touch and then you catch back up again. And that's how it's been. But what we're going to talk about is the power of collaboration. So I'm going to be quiet now, which is very unusual for me. And I'm going to hand over to Juliana. Your turn now, Jules.
Thank you very much, Coral. So I am the founder of Juliana Personal Styling, and I work with both men and women, helping them find confidence through clothes and their wardrobe. I started the business in 2015, and I have been working basically alone with an assistant through the whole time until I was introduced to Coral. And the moment I met Coral, I could see that there was such a close alignment with everything that we do. So fabrics, fit, color, style, design, everything, we were so aligned, and we've never looked back. I can't tell you how important it is to collaborate in terms of even bouncing off ideas, asking, okay, what do you think of this? Is this commercial? Okay, Coral, I've got a client who needs a fitting. Are you able to assist? Absolutely. Coral's there. Her work is impeccable. And I feel so privileged to work alongside her because actually I know that I can trust her 100%. I can trust her 100% with my client. I know that she's so aligned on values, on standards, on everything, that I couldn't have asked for a better person to collaborate with. So I really, I really am so thrilled to, and grateful to Warren.
Yeah.
I've been in the industry for many years, over 20 years in the industry. And it's very hard to find people that you connect with and that you can trust in this way. That I can just leave Coral with a client and I know that client is in good hands. So for me, that has been priceless. Absolutely priceless.
Well, it's likewise. I mean, I know it's going to sound like the Mutual Appreciation Society, which it is. But in addition to that, when Jules and I first got together and she came to the studio, what it was is able to be in the presence of someone, a personal stylist and a style curator. And I also feel that Jules, she sells herself short, because one of the things that a lot of people don't know is she's a great public speaker. So I'm encouraging all of you guys at GreenwichConnect to get her to do more public speaking. I did tell her I was going to do this, And the other thing as well is Juliana is setting up the Juliana Personal Styling Academy. And where I need the help of you guys is to find out from an educational background how to get an organization accredited so that she can actually put in place certificates for the students that attend, because I feel that one of Juliana's key areas of speciality is not just helping me as a small business, but other small creatives. So when it came to costing and we'd sit down and what I like about the way we bounce ideas off one another, if we don't like something, we just say. It's not a case of whereby you think you can't say, because the whole thing about collaboration is you have to be truthful with each other, even the painful truth. So Juliana might look at something that I've done, and if she's not saying anything, that speaks volumes as far as I'm concerned. I'm like, so what don't you like? And she's like, oh no. And then, it's the critique is done in such a way whereby you don't feel it's a dagger to the heart, and you are able to recover. And at the same time, that's how you bounce these ideas off one another. And it's so important, especially when she came in and she looked at my designs and she could see the audience that I was aiming at. But what I realized is, through the conversation with her, in my head, I had the audience that I'm aiming at, but Juliana could see that the audience that I was aiming at, we were misaligned. So I'm looking at the woman that's looking to be confident, and my designs are so bold and in your face. She was saying, but the woman that's really going to wear those garments is already confident. So you've been targeting having the conversation with the wrong kind of women who are, you're not looking for the woman that's looking to grow in confidence. You're looking for the woman that's already there because of the boldness. And it was being able to have those conversations. And when she first pointed that out to me, it was one of those aha moments, and it just made sense. And then it's not just about bouncing the ideas off one another. It's being able to say, well, what have you also being able to hold one another accountable to make sure that, you've put that work in place, or you've done this, or et cetera, et cetera. And I feel that, as I've said to Juliana, going forward, I really see her on TED Talks and being able to share her energy and enthusiasm as to what makes a creative business creative, because it can be, as a sole trader, it's very isolated when all you are is in that box doing your work on a day-to-day basis, and there's no feedback. And the feedback you're getting might be, a like on Instagram, or, a comment on Facebook, but that's not really translating into a financial return. And that's really what the help of a collaboration does. So back over to you now, Jules.
Thank you, Coral. Leading on from what Coral has just said, when I work with my clients, I get that instant feedback. So for me, it's an instant. I see it in their body language, actually in what they say. So I'm looking at the creative field from two different angles. I'm in it, but I can also step away from it. So I see the commercial side, and I also come from a design background as well. So looking at design and fit and fabrics, for me, it all intertwines, but it's easy for me to look at both with a critical eye, but at the same time, look at the opportunities. So with Coral's designs, which are completely amazing, but they are for a woman of confidence. It's not for a lady that's trying to find herself, a lady that's already arrived. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, I have clients like that, and I have clients that are not very confident at all. So it's about finding the balance, but it's, for me, the collaboration has really, and it's propelled my business as well, Coral, because actually from me meeting Coral, I have done more and more speaking events. And prior to lockdown, I had never even done a Zoom meeting. So it's a massive transition, as well as I actually have a student now that I'm teaching the business of fashion to, design and illustration. And, there's lots of different things that have come off the back of this. So it's been amazing, but also it's Coral asking me, so how is this going? Have you followed up on that? And it's about having that connection with somebody you can trust, who is completely honest. Yeah. Will treat you as it is, even if it's a piece of dry bread without butter. That's Coral.
Was that a compliment?
I believe so.
But the thing is, sometimes the softly approach needs to be pushed to one side, and the truth just needs to be told as it is. Because actually, if we all did that, we'd all be able to move on so much faster in the right direction. Not always, and if that information is coming from somebody you trust, you know it's coming from a good place. So, yeah.
Yeah. Following on from that, integrity, because I wrote down that one of the key things that helps in terms of with your collaboration is to have integrity and honesty across the board, and also as well, because the whole thing about a collaboration is the way it can expand. So, for example, Juliana and I are working together, but then there's also Agnieszka at Tameside Studio who does hats. So when it comes to a meeting of the minds, it will be the hats, the fashion design, and Juliana doing style curation, and then Warren doing photography. And then that expands out even further. So you've got, you know, the social matrix whereby, thank you, Nikki. You got me to step up my game to do the video. Heart was palpitating, but then I went to the studio, I remembered what Lorraine said, put it on the stand, just do that. So that's why you've got me going back and forth with the button, but I did it. And I have to say, it's a lot of fun.
Yep, it was really good.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun doing that. So that actually inspired me to look at doing more videos now. So that prompted something else. And that's really good. So thank you for that, guys. Appreciate it.
Oh, that sounds like, yeah, amazing story around collaboration. I love actually, Carl, what you mentioned around integrity. I think it's the piece that's unique to every single business. I mean, I come from financial services and wealth management, and banks still have a bad rep because of naughty stuff that happened a long time ago. And a lot of stuff that exists now is around rebuilding that kind of trust and integrity.
Yeah.
And when you're a smaller business, it is that kind of, you know, you guys are fortunate insofar as what you produce, someone can see.
Yes.
But if I look at, say, because I understand what William does, people can't necessarily pick up a mortgage and say, is this, you know, they can't really look in 3D and kind of critique it and feel the quality of a mortgage. But actually, through his integrity in delivering a mortgage that is right for their needs,
yeah,
they can say, actually, yes, he's done a good job because this mortgage is doing what I need it to do.
Yeah.
You know, given
get me a house, yeah.
Yeah.
That is the best kind of network, is what Juliana and Coral are talking about, is when you actually trust and build a proper relationship with people, which isn't just based on, I'm going to give you a referral. This is based on understanding the personalities behind it and working. And then it's like, whenever I refer anyone to anyone within the group or whatever, I know completely that they would be treated with the same respect and care as I would treat them.
Yeah.
So if I send people to Nikki and Lorraine, I'm completely happy that they'll be looked after, and I won't have to worry about anything going awry. Yeah. And that's a really valuable thing. And that's, if we can get that aspect of GreenwichConnect, where you actually, and I think this is one of the beneficial things of talking in groups like this, is that you get to know people a little bit better, a little bit more about the people they are, rather than the surfacey business thing.
I agree.
That is far more important. It's more important to me anyway.
I agree. Yeah. And also it expands your skill set, because that's the other thing that I found working with Jules, is that, you know, it's, so for example, of late, Juliana's been bringing me quite a few alterations for her clients. Now, it also enables me to see what goes on behind the scenes on somebody else's work, but also it's expanding my skill set, because some of these alterations are quite tricky, and it's getting my head around, well, how would be the best way to do that? So, and if I, you know, and the other beauty of it is if I'm at a loss, I'm not going to say that I can do it when I can't, because, you know, I'm only going to be setting myself up for failure. So I'll say to Juliana, well, what do you think the best way around this is? And if we can't come up with it, the concept, or I'm not comfortable with it, and she's got somebody else in mind, I will talk to that other person to see how would they do it. And that's how you continue to learn as well. So it's being able to be open and truthful without feeling that, you know, yes, you're going to have your vulnerability, but because you're in a space of whereby that person only has your best interest at heart and vice versa, the vulnerability, it melts into nothing, because that's, I think as small business owners, we're afraid of not just looking silly, but also as well, if our businesses aren't booming, and you know, when you see those forms and it says You know, have you earned between, what is it, 50,000 to 1 million? And you think, I'm not on that sheet. You know, where do I fit in that category? You don't feel as though, you know, you're made to feel that your business isn't viable, it's not working. But in actual fact, all the time that you're working at your business and in it, it's working. And that's what I found. It's working with Juliana has given my business a brand new, fresh lease of life, even in the way I approach my business as well.
So
I think that's really important. That's great.
I think Lorraine's got a question.
Yeah, Lorraine has a question.
I was just going to say really that it's really good to hear that you've actually managed to kind of harness, if you like, an opportunity that by working together you're able to offer a kind of, you're talking about a wider range of services.
Yeah.
You know, you can maybe offer photography and, you know, you're doing like alterations now, and,
yeah,
and some of them are more complicated. So you're growing your kind of your service offering, and I think that's really important. I think that's one of the most positive things about collaborating with other people, is that you can all of a sudden kind of see, oh, actually, if we pull our services together, we can actually either offer something slightly different or even something completely brand new.
Yep.
But what I really wanted to ask was, do you have maybe like some top tips for anybody that's thinking about collaborating with someone else?
Well, one of my top tips would be have the uncomfortable conversation. Say that, you know, I feel that part of the problem is we want to be nice, but in that niceness we forget to have that, you know, I said to Juliana up front, and we both had the conversation, I'm all about honesty, truth and integrity. And I says, and I know it might sound like old-fashioned values, but if I'm not coming from that perspective, I'm not coming from any perspective at all. And I feel it is having those kind of conversations, and you have to share. It cannot be one-way traffic. One person is doing all the work in terms of collaboration, and the other person just sitting back and reaping the benefits. I think that's totally unfair. So that would be my tip, to have the uncomfortable conversation. What about you, Jules?
Mine would be trust. My everything I do revolves around trust. So working with Coral, I trust Coral. I trust her. I could hand over one of my top clients to Coral and not have to worry at all. But at the same time, it's how I work. And I only want to work with people that have the same standard.
Mm.
I'm not willing to lower my standard to work with somebody who doesn't have the same values.
So it's being aligned.
Absolutely. I've worked very hard to maintain, especially during COVID. I've changed the whole way I work with my clients and managed to keep the standard. And for me, that's everything. So working with Coral, knowing that Coral has the same standard, for me, that would be my top tip.
And have you drawn up any kind of contract between the two of you, or have you just decided to work, you know, because I guess it would vary on different people. Some people may think it's important for me to have some sort of formal contract in place. Other people who are collaborating may just feel that they're so aligned in terms of their values and understanding of each other that actually it would kind of ruin it almost. I mean, I just want your view on that.
Well, we did put in place, what we do have in place is what we call our soul contract, which is based on our integrity and values. And that really sets out what it is that we aim to do for each other, and what we're looking to achieve independently from our businesses. So then that, you know, that enables you to see, well, what is, you know, so like, for example, going back to where I was saying about with Juliana, I'm looking for, how do I help find an education whereby, what does it mean to be accredited? How do you go about that? So that's my task. And then Juliana's task might be, well, I'm going to take Coral, we're going to go fabric hunting, and we're going to look at different qualities of fabrics and stuff, and introducing me to brands that she knows, so that I can look at how they design and you know, their clientele. And the other thing as well is, if I have a client that comes to me and I'm not able to help them, i.e., you know, whether it be in terms of cost or what they're looking for, I will hand them over to Juliana, because it might be that what they're looking for is for somebody to style them as opposed to have a bespoke garment. And having that conversation with Juliana, it might be that they then come back to me or not, but either way, You know, there's always something for the client to look forward to. And if they don't want either one of us, then, you know, it really is their loss.
Couldn't agree more, Coral. I'd pay just to have your company.
That's right. Yes, Anthony.
Yes. Hello, Carol.
Yes.
Is collaboration, is it the same thing as a joint venture, or is it slightly different?
That's an interesting question, actually. For me, in a joint venture, if you're joined at the hip in terms of business partners, I don't know. What do you think, Juliana? Because is it the same?
No. I would say a joint venture. I would say that's where people have invested money to create something together. I think our businesses are separate, but they are so aligned that there's a lot of crossing overs. So I would say it's more of a collaboration, but we can work very closely, but our businesses are also very independent.
Separate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Thanks.
It's similar to work I do with like business coaches, because I'm not one, and they deal with strategy. I deal with the grubby end of making the processes work. So I align my services with and refer and sort of stuff like that. But yeah, it's still my own business rather than a joint venture. Having said that, I realised that because both William and Anthony are at the bottom of my screen, I don't think you guys have met each other properly yet. But Anthony is in the sort of lettings estate agency business.
Yep.
And William is a mortgage expert at a financial advisor. And I thought, from a collaboration perspective,
This is a live collaboration.
Yeah. Really?
I might
that's
want
it.
to have a chat sometime.
Yeah. Thanks, Rob.
Yeah.
Well, I
Cheers,
also
Rob.
need your details, William. So if you could pop them in the chat, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's down here, isn't it? Yeah, I don't often do the old online networking, but yeah, no, it's good, and yeah, nice to meet everyone.
Yeah, we're a nice bunch of people. Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear.
Actually, as I've got my thinking hat on, Julia, I'm not sure if you ever had a chat with Rachel about the stuff that she does with Neil's Yard. I thought that might be an interesting kind of collaboration, because again, I know because as I get older, my skin gets worse, but it's one of those things. It's that whole confidence piece as well. So I thought maybe having a chat with her around that part of Rachel Barham rather than just being the FSB voice.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other thing as well that I'm going to put Juliana on the spot about is that in terms of guest speaking, she's very good at the whole style curation, whereby, you know, because people think that makeovers is all about, you know, putting you in clothes that you don't want to wear, that you wouldn't wear under, you know, under dire circumstances, let alone this makeover. And when she has that conversation with you about clothes and styling and putting a look together, it's about the person first and the clothes second. And that to me is what a true stylist is all about, as opposed to the stylist wanting to make a name for themselves and have you as Coco the clown. So there's the difference in relation to that. So yeah. And if you haven't already noticed, I'm very plain speaking.
We need more plain speakers.
It's good. No, it's good.
But don't you think that goes right back to what you said about integrity and honesty and those kinds of things? And they are old-fashioned values.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, maybe in the late 80s and the 90s, people lost sight of them completely.
Yes.
And it was all about, you know, there was a lot of show and there was a lot of, oh, I've got to pick something up and all. And to me, everything felt hollow.
Yeah.
If you can't believe the person that you're listening to, then nothing that they're selling has any value for me. Even though they might be selling a good product, if I don't believe the person that I'm talking to, and I love the idea that, you know, you're getting back to those kind of looking at the person. You're not dressing them up like because you think this is fashionable.
Yeah.
You know, you want them as a person to feel good in what they're wearing, and that's essential, I think. And the more people that work along those lines, the better, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, totally agree. And we had Juliana had a conversation about, because I will turn away clients, and the same applies to Juliana. And I've had clients come to me and they, they'll give me a picture of a model and say, I want to look like this. And I'm like, well, that's not going to happen anytime soon. However, we can get as close as possible. But if I feel that that garment really isn't going to complement them, then I won't go ahead. Because as I say to the client, I says, when a person turns around and says to you that, oh, this doesn't fit you great, or this, that, or the other, or maybe you shouldn't have gone with that, you're not going to turn around and say, well, the designer did say to me, it's not going to suit me. You're going to say, oh, it was that woman, from Tameslide Studios. I went with her and this is what I've got. So it's about being able to not be afraid that you're not going to get that client, because you know that there's another one coming along. And at the end of the day, you've got your name and reputation to think about. And I'm telling you, it takes a lifetime to build, but seconds to lose, as they say in Stardust.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So what else, Jules? Come on, this is your platform. Public speak, Jules.
So I completely agree with Coral. When I work with my clients, it really is about trust. When I go to their homes to do a wardrobe review, they are letting me into their entire life. Let somebody into your wardrobe, it tells you everything about the individual. So it's really... but they trust me. They trust me, and the way I work, it will only work if you trust me.
Yeah.
What do you think what do you think it is that you do that builds trust with people the most when you're styling someone, would you say?
I listen.
Yeah.
Which is something that a lot of people don't do. They go steaming ahead, not listening to the client, and sometimes not even asking the right questions. Do you just want to dress somebody, or do you want to dress somebody for who they are? That's the question. So you need to know about the person, the individual, their lifestyle, what they enjoy doing, what they do for work, and this has all changed during lockdown as well, by the way. So there's a lot of things that have changed, but actually it is about trust. And one of the biggest successes that I found is that during the lockdown, my clients have all come back to me and said, Juliana, you were right. For the last 6 years, the information you've been giving us has come at this point that we can see that the information you were giving us was right. Do not buy high fashion, buy classic, timeless pieces and investment pieces that will last. Because actually, why do you think the shops are so fully stocked? Because
it goes out of,
and it's dead stock.
There's a lot of psychology involved, though, isn't there? That's what I'm interested in. In both of you talking now, there's a lot more kind of psychotherapy or counselling or whatever that's going on, as well as what you're wearing. Yeah. And that's a kind of a real soft skill, which you might be the best dressmaker in the world, but that's another skill which is not really being valued.
Yeah.
That, you both have, and otherwise you wouldn't be able to do the things that you do.
Yeah.
Because I think, people's identity often stems from the way that, the way they dress is often about their identity, isn't it? It's more than, oh, I just picked this out of Superdry or wherever. It's about who you want to present yourself to be in the world. And that is about personal confidence as well. So if you feel good in what you're wearing, you feel good and you feel confident, right?
Yeah. It's very true. And that is a fact. People might think that, fashion is all about frivolity and et cetera, but you only have to look at things like films like James Bond. He's wearing his Savile Row suit. When the jewelers got broken into on Bond Street, the guy was wearing Savile Row suit. That's why he got let in, and then he held them up at gunpoint. He was dressed the part. But had he been, some scrub bucket, would they have let him in?
No.
You see what I mean? So clothes do make us the man. Whether it be a crook or not, that's besides the point.
Yeah.
They do make us the man.
think actually,
one of the other things I wanted to ask was that, you know, with lockdown, obviously, people have got out of the habit. I think Juliana and I were talking about this a while ago. People have got really out of the habit of wearing clothes, proper clothes.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
Joggers.
I agree with
We've
that.
all got. In fact, I remember last year that there was a big push online in terms of fashion, and it was all called loungewear. Every brand was saying, you know, buy your loungewear. You're going to need loungewear this year. And of course, we all went out and bought. I've got more loungewear now than I've But what happened? You know, how do we?
Lounge.
An issue with people returning to. Do you think people? I mean, I suppose what I'm asking in a way is a bit like almost like a prediction. Do you think that in terms of us returning to having to do the face-to-face stuff, that there'll be a kind of more of a dressing down because of what's happened, or do you think people will return dressing up?
I think there are two sides. Sorry, Coral, do you want to answer?
No, you go for it, and then I'll follow.
I think there are two sides. Okay, I think there are people that are going to need to be phased back in to wearing clothes. They are so super relaxed that actually putting on a pair of heels is a challenge. Putting on a pair of formal shoes is a challenge.
Yeah.
And actually, people may try and go back and really keep that kind of relaxed look. But the workplace now is going to be more competitive than it has ever been. And if there is ever a time to dress up, it is now. Yeah. And stand out for the right reasons. When there's an opportunity, you'll be the one that will be offered the opportunity, because they can rely that you will not let the company down because of the way you present.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing that goes it's sort of unnoticed almost, isn't it? It's sort of to some people, it's like a subliminal thing that, you know, if you do dress better, then you're right. I think you do have sort of more opportunity. That really makes sense, I think.
And also as well, it's about how it makes you feel. You know, there is a thing about how your clothes can make you feel invincible because of the confidence that it imbues in you. And going back to what you were saying, Lorraine, I feel that, see, my business model has had to change, because now that since we was doing the whole dressing above the keyboard, it's been more about tops than it is dresses. And you know, my business specializes in dresses and tops, but now Juliana and I were speaking that I feel that I'm going to go more in the direction of making more tops, you know, as one-of-a-kind pieces, and let the dresses still have them there, but not necessarily expand on that, and just see what happens in the future. Because I still feel that with this whole thing with loungewear, the other thing as well that you're seeing is that people are needing to get back into shape, because you're seeing some hefty bottoms out there, and in terms of
some hefty bottoms in here.
And I can attest to that as well.
Are you talking about me?
I'm talking about how elasticated waist can give you a false sense of security.
Absolutely.
And we need to start zipping things up and buttoning them, even though it feels that we're having our blood pressure taken from the waist. So we do have to be mindful about this. Thank you.
I think it was actually interesting. There's a couple of things that you're saying about them, like the confidence, you know, like robbing jewelers and stuff like that. But I think actually when you feel that you look good, you probably make better decisions, particularly in business, because it's and in life in general, because you're probably not, if you're feeling a bit under the weather or kind of subservient or whatever the point is, whatever way you're feeling, you're going to sort of make bad decisions. I mean, that's where I suppose like ASOS and these kind of large online only retailers have made so much inroads. It's because, yes, they've been sort of like brash adverts and sort of stuff like that, but they've also given people that kind of immediate rush, because a lot of people find adrenaline from buying something, whatever it is. So it might be a top or something like that. Oh, fine, I'll buy it, and then they get it and they go, actually, this looks awful. Well, I bought it now, I won't return it. Or even they keep it and it just sort of ends up, you know, in this dirty pile of, well, they're clean, but you know,
backlog,
the pile of shame.
And do you know what? When I do a wardrobe review, it all comes out.
Quite literally sometimes, I imagine.
In advance, when I'm having a telephone conversation, and the client will say, well, maybe I will just have a quick tidy up and clear out before you come. No, no, no. Don't throw a thing.
You're like, I'll be right there.
That's right. Because do you know why? Sometimes that one item that the client looks at and thinks, I can't stand this. It's not that she can't stand it, it's that she doesn't have the right things to wear with it. And she's so used to looking at it that she can't see past that now. She just wants to throw it.
I like that, Juliana, because that gives you an opportunity to go and buy some more stuff, right?
Yeah.
I suppose also is the point that if someone chucks out sort of all their ASOS rubbish that they bought last summer and stuff, you might not actually be able to help them properly undo that mindset, because as soon as you're gone, then they're like, okay, well, Juliana isn't looking anymore, and I've got Juliana's piece.
Back to
ASOS.
ASOS.
Buy more rubbish, rather than actually kind of thinking, oh, actually, we've gone through everything here. We found that top that, yeah, it might be high street, but it can go really well with a number of different outfits, and therefore they don't feel as bad about that spur of the moment shop. And actually kind of go, actually, I don't need to buy something else that ends up looking exactly the same.
That's the thing, Rob. Juliana's always looking.
Oh, yes, she is.
I'm very clear about that.
She's definitely Miss Marple and Poirot all rolled into one. And I am going to borrow your quote, Rob, whereby you feel you look good, you make better decisions. I do like that. So I'm going to be, and I will give you credit for it as well in my
website.
I like that thing that Juliana said about the fact that, you know, you often throw, I mean, we've just had a massive throwing out exercise. 20 years worth of clothes have just gone in to charity. And, but you're right. I mean, I've definitely thrown away things that I like or maybe don't like or just never have worn. And, you know, like you say, there may be an opportunity sometimes you think that they're not going to be of any use to you, that if you can match them with the right thing, that they may just work.
Yeah, very much so.
I'm just going to go now and just go and get my bags out of the
yeah, it's coming back. So I bought my first home, and I've literally this weekend moved everything to the house, and just all my old clothes that I've just basically been lugging around for years. And I have to say, I've just looked in this wardrobe that I have, and you know, you're exactly right. You know, there's probably a selection of clothes that probably a handful of clothes that I wear most regularly, but you know, probably about 80% of them I just don't even wear. And I think, you know, you're right. I think it's time to be a bit of a minimalist and get rid of some of that stuff. And
I've got a really good...
William, that's a practicality of washing clothes. I find that what happens is you get into a cycle of going, well, that's a clean top, I'll put that on. And every so often I do purposely rejig stuff. And I was like, it's often going into my clothes because I forgot about that top. Sometimes I try and put it on and it looks kind of like, no, that's time to go. But sometimes there's a function of clean clothes go on top of the pile. And when you're in a hurry, you go to the top of the pile. You're not going to take time to go halfway down or to the bottom and see what else is there.
That's exactly what it is,
so
actually.
The pile, and then flip it over every so often.
Get the ones I really hate, and
I've got a really good tip for anybody who really wants to have a good wardrobe clear out, and this is what we do. So we got we decided, instead of pulling out the things that we didn't want, we would pull out the things that you would have to prize from our cold dead hands, the things that we absolutely loved.
Nice.
And everything else just goes in a sack.
Good, I like that. That's a good good idea. Yeah.
You have to believe the pile of stuff that we managed to pull out of our wardrobes and get rid of. Years old, hasn't fit for ages, never likely to fit, all of those kind of things. And so we're down to our favorite our favorite stuff. Plus,
and I still can't get into them, but that's all right.
Some of them are still, a bit of a.
Yeah, I've got my pair of skinny jeans that I've moved with me, and I'm definitely probably never going to be that size again. But I'm like, one day.
Not ready.
Too much information, Rob.
Yeah,
that's
a good tip. As for me, what Rob said is true. I tend to wear certain clothes, the rest and the wardrobe, and I never touch them. There are a lot of suits I bought, years back. The tags are still there. I've not touched them. To be honest, since lockdown, I've not gone to shop. Till 2 months ago, I normally go to TK Maxx, rummage around, get nice stuff, but it takes time. You got to be patient to go to TK Maxx. But I got loads of clothes that is there, I don't touch them. But I wear the same type of clothes all the time, recycle them. A lot of briefs, everything is there, not touched. I think what Nikki said might probably work for me. I got a bag thrown through the door the other day for clothes to be recycled. I said, yes, I must do it. I must recycle, but I never get around to it. I think, Nikki, I'll give you a call so that you can talk to me while I'm
Can I ask you guys, do you like to wear suits or do you like to wear shirts, or is it more casual? What is it for fellas nowadays?
Yeah, before it used to be suits, especially in our business, being in property, you got to look the part, as you said about James Bond,
Yes,
you can't go to advise somebody about selling a 500,000 pound house and wearing jeans. You got to wear a nice suit. You got to look the part.
Yeah.
Probably with a decent car as well, park it, and then, people will see that, yes, there's confidence in this man. I'll give him my property.
Yeah.
That matters a lot.
Yeah.
But these days, I think we're more casual. I don't know that I still go back. Anyway, once you go back to face, when you are meeting a client, you got to look the part. It's very important.
It's about first impressions, isn't it, really?
Yes. It's that old saying, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. Yeah. And the other one is what, dress like you're going to meet your worst enemy. So that way you're always prepared.
I don't know about that.
Do you think that personal style, Juliana, do you think it is about more than just your clothes? Do you think it's, like Tony's saying, it's about the car you drive, and it's beyond?
I think it's about the message. What message do you want to give? People like to work with people that look successful. There's no doubt about it. So it's all about the message.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's very much about that.
So this is where it's challenging. During lockdown, before lockdown, people that were working in Canary Wharf were really, really well presented and took great pride in how they presented themselves.
Believe you me, not everybody here is very well dressed. If you saw some of my colleagues, you would. I'm always well dressed, but not all my colleagues are.
Okay.
I'll tell them to as well. I tell them that as well.
It becomes even more challenging during lockdown, because what people haven't thought about is the fact that they have spent a long time building their image without knowing it. Roll on lockdown, people are turning up in a t-shirt that's not even ironed. What happens to your image during that time? You enter into a Zoom meeting, you're meeting with people that you haven't probably not met before. And this is the first impression. They don't see you 2 years ago. What they're seeing is now. And this is the conversation I have with my clients. So it is about the message. It's about being consistent, being reliable, and keeping your standard.
I agree with that.
Coral, are you going to branch out into menswear now then?
Well, I do. Funny enough, I do men's shirts because my partner, he's 6'3", so he can never get the sleeve length right. So I have done men's shirts on occasion, and I do enjoy that. But I think going forward, the future will be one of a kind men's shirts, probably more for the taller fellas, because they seem to be struggling the most, and one of a kind top. So like I said, the whole thing with the business is transitioning now.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the other nice things, if there is any nice aspect to lockdown, is that it's made people look at their lives in a more kind of a broader way. So people are having to be more flexible.
Yeah.
And that's, I really like that. It's something I've always been interested in anyway, is kind of diversity and things.
Yeah.
But the fact that, you know, people are looking at other opportunities, maybe other channels of work that they can do, which take them out of the office, whatever. But it feels like there's a great sort of an atmosphere of renewal at the moment. And
yeah, definitely.
If you seize it, there can be some positives in there.
Yeah. And I feel what a lot of businesses, especially small business owners, need to really embrace is that there is no such thing as business failure. There's only business growth. It's just that maybe things haven't gone according to your plan.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make it a failure. The fact that you're doing it, that you're in it, that is, a success in itself. And the world of fashion is so precarious. But we could say the same thing about mortgages. We could say the same thing about social media. Because like for example, social media, it's changing all the time. I think that would just be my heading. As soon as I've got used to one algorithm, then I've got to go and learn something else. Give me fabric any day of the week. I will, so we each have our own challenges in different ways. So I salute those guys that have a different approach to business, but there's nothing to say how we can't bring one another together.
No, I agree.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Cool.
So.
Right.
Have we reached a natural conclusion there, do you think, for our
I think so. So I haven't heard nobody coming back to about, does anybody know anything about education and accreditation? Hello.
I actually might know someone who knows someone. I worked with a client. They're not a charity, but they provide training to actually they focus on BME girls and giving them IT skills.
Right.
And I have a feeling that the lady who runs it will have had to have gone through a form of accreditation type program, or will know the right people who know someone. So Juliana, I will pop them an email.
Brilliant.
And I think you and I are actually on LinkedIn anyway, so I will then obviously come back to you and see if that is the right person. I'll step out and just introduce you, because you can have a natter. So nothing worse than sort of sat there like a lemming. But yeah, it'd be great. Hopefully that person I'm thinking will know that.
See, we're all collaborating.
All you have to do is ask the question.
I've also worked for a company in Lewisham a couple of years back, who I was running accredited courses for. So I was running them on their behalf, and they are accredited. So I'll have a chat with her as well, Juliana, and see whether she would, because there's her courses are accredited by a specific organization, and I know that Twin Training also have the same organization that kind of rubber stamp some of their qualifications, and they do like level 2, level 3, level 4, whatever they call it, the sort of NVQ type qualifications. So I'll see if I can find out a bit more about that for you, and I'll.
Brilliant. See, I knew you guys would have the answer. Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Shouldn't work.
Cool. All right. Well, on that note, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us again. I think August, we're still trying to figure out if we're going to have one. I think it's obviously with it being proper summer. But then obviously if we don't do that, or even if we do, we're still working on the idea of the social event. But watch the space, check our website, and yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for your time.
Thank you all. It's been superb.
Nice to see everyone.
Talk, by the way, really good talk.
Yeah, loved it. Yeah, really nice meeting of the minds. Lovely.